Hello. Hello, everybody. How is it going? My mic seems to be a bit low. Is it low? I don't know. I don't know if it's low or not. But there are a lot of fucking mosquitoes around here. All right, there we go. All right. Hello, all possible viewers. So this is kind of a weird stream because I'm doing this at night, which I usually don't do. I usually don't do that. And I also apologize in advance because there are a lot of mosquitoes out, and I do not like mosquitoes. So I'm going to try my best to just get rid of them as soon as possible. So usually we have one scheduled video per week, and then we have the Atheist Sunday School stream. Is the mic working? I don't know if it is. Never quite sure. So tell me if the mic isn't working or if it's like really low or something. I will hop right on that. Got it. They're just everywhere tonight. But I am thinking it's working. Great. Thank you. I am thinking for this Friday, I'm actually going to have a Forged Fiction come out. It's going to be on Jude, probably. And we were going to have like some other long special, but Ruben wasn't able to finish that in time. So I just decided I'm going to do a Forged Fiction this week. And because Friday I feel like it'd be too long since the last video, I just decided to do this stream tonight. And I guess it would be a kind of a story time with Lawrence, and I am smoking too. So if you got a problem with that, sucks for you. So this entire day today, at least most of the morning, I was chasing bees in my house. This morning I found about 8 bees just flying around, and that was a problem. And then when I got rid of those, I found a bunch more, like 9 more. So in total, there were 17 bees just flying around in my house. Usually I try to, put the bee back outside and not have to kill it because they're important for the environment. But this was a lot of bees. That was a lot. That is more than I want in my house that I can reasonably take out. But 17 bees, that's a lot. That was really annoying. Other than that, I decided I'll just talk about some of my favorite books. This was actually a request on the Milwaukee Atheists website, milwaukeeatheists.com. You can just request whatever you want. There are forums. You can have a chat there. It's nice and good fun. We only have about like 30 users, but we have guests, sometimes putting stuff in there. So the request, it was kind of broad. It was kind of just about, what are the best books on all these different mythologies and the best books on history and all that stuff. But it was pretty broad, and I decided that was too broad. So I'll just nail it down to a few really good books that I recommend for anyone that is interested in New Testament scholarship or Old Testament stuff. Anyone that's interested in learning more about the Bible and the myths in it and surrounding it. I think that's pretty interesting stuff. So my first suggestion is always... Yeah, this is YouTube. Okay, sorry. For a second, I thought I was streaming on Facebook. That was weird. So my first recommendation is always Richard Carrier's On the Historicity of Jesus. That is a fantastic book. I mean, even if you don't agree with his conclusion, he presents so much great information, just good stuff to know in there. Every page you learn something new, and it's really great. I recommend it for anybody, actually. It doesn't even matter if you're starting out in the field or if you're already an accomplished scholar. It has something for everybody, and that's what I really like about that book. Another one that I recommend is Scripting Jesus. Fucking mosquitoes. Did I get it? I don't think I did. Scripting Jesus by L. Michael White. And he kind of portrays the entire Bible as, for pretty much what it is. It's just a narrative, many narratives intertwined. And he kind of treats it like a play. You have your characters, and you have casting the characters. And he kind of breaks it down into a play-like format. And it's really interesting how he does it. And it helps you understand the writing so much better. It helps you really get how they developed the myths, their thought process even. It's really fascinating. There is some good stuff about Matthew in there, especially because Matthew uses a lot of prophetic, and I have put a prophetic in quotations because Matthew is known for turning things into prophecy that have no business being prophecy. And he kind of breaks down the stories and where Matthew was getting his ideas when it came to Old Testament or apocryphal stuff. Really fascinating read. Another one that I think is just a good introductory text, because nope, it's just a good introductory text. It gets some stuff wrong, I think, but it definitely helps you understand Old Testament scholarship really well. It gives you this introduction into how scholars read the Old Testament, how they read the Torah specifically. The author of the book is, I'm pretty sure he's Jewish, Richard Elliott Friedman. We actually use his book a lot on Atheist Sunday School. Got it. We use his book a lot on Atheist Sunday School. It's called Who Wrote the Bible? And it's basically just a breakdown of the documentary hypothesis. And the documentary hypothesis, from what I can tell, places the writers, all of them, just J, E, and P, places them before the writer of Deuteronomy. And I actually think he makes the opposite case. I don't think his intention was obviously to prove that Genesis and Exodus are all older than Deuteronomy. But in the process of describing how scholars do this, I think he proved the opposite point. And then his last 2 chapters are basically dedicated to unproving his point, which I think he does a bad job. But it's a really good introductory text for something like that. What else is really good? And when it comes to like really good stuff, especially on textual criticism, Bart Ehrman's always a good scholar to read. He is kind of known for just being a pop scholar because he makes stuff easily digestible for the layman, which is really nice. I actually like that. But he can also write really well. He can write really good scholarly material, really high level stuff that is harder for the layman to understand, but it's still possible just because of the way he writes. He writes a lot more like a regular person, not like a historian. So the books I recommend from him are Forgery and Counterforgery, which is basically just a look at forgery in antiquity. And he demonstrates why so many of the books in the New Testament are seen as forged. And it's kind of similar to his book that's just called Forged, but it's like the scholarly version. Like he goes way more in depth. There's also Misquoting Jesus, which is a great look at textual criticism. It is a great look at how the text changes over time when certain things were placed in, and it's really fascinating. And I recommend that for everybody. It's a very simple read. Hold on. Yeah, I knew. Thanks. So where was I? Misquoting Jesus? That's a good book. Misquoting Jesus. I recommend that. What's another really good one by Ehrman? Lost Christianities. That is a recommendation for absolutely everybody. Even nope, didn't get it. That's a recommendation for absolutely everybody. He goes over all of, or not all of, but he goes over many of the scriptures that got left out of the Bible, and he goes over some of the groups that followed these, like the Gospel of Thomas, which is just a bunch of sayings of Jesus. I don't think any of them are authentic, but scholars say like at least 4 are, but whatever. He goes over the Acts of Paul and Thecla, which was kind of a, I guess it was a romance, closer to that. He used to, I mean, according to Ehrman, he used to be a household name. Everybody knew Paul and Thecla until later just became Paul that people recognize. Those are really some of the book recommendations. I guess Lee Martin Macdonald's The Biblical Canon is really good. You refer to him as a Neo-Ebionite? He's one of the few that would get it. I mean, I'm not sure why you refer to him as that. But, you know, you can refer to him as whatever you want, I guess. Yeah, Ebionite, I got that, yeah. Man, all these fucking mosquitoes. Really do not like them. But aside from me just doing this, I don't know. I just kind of figured I'd hang out with you guys. Maybe chat with you about some of the upcoming stuff. Kind of boring stream today. Jesus is real, not deity, though. Well, I definitely agree with you on the deity part. I'm not entirely convinced on the historicity of Jesus. I think the evidence for it is really weak. It's like anything that we can even count as evidence comes like almost 100 years later. And it really just tells us that Christians existed. I mean, I could be wrong, obviously. I'm open to getting my mind changed. That's not like a hindrance to me being an atheist. Hello, OT. Nor Paul. I am not convinced that Jesus nor Paul existed in the 1st century. Yeah, I mean, like, my view on this is I think it's more likely that Paul existed, so I just kind of go with it. But obviously, I could be wrong on that too. Other than, you know, what is attributed to just him, there's nothing really going for it. But I just think it's more likely, just because it's so much less mythical. I can't really find any kind of parallels that can be specifically linked to other religions as some sort of Paul figure. Doesn't mean they didn't exist, obviously, but I don't know. Just kind of call it a hunch, I guess. I haven't looked into the historicity of Paul necessarily. I don't even know if anything has really been written about that, if it's not by I mean, maybe it has. I'm sure somebody's written about it, but I don't know. The some of the stuff that I see is a lot of bad scholarship. Like actually, this is who my video about the Council of Nicaea was addressed to. It's to the people who just are bad at doing history. They look over a lot of the stuff that we do have and just make shit up. So I don't know. Fucking mosquitoes everywhere. Jesus. Or Paul. Jesus or Paul. Yeah, scholars generally don't doubt it, but doesn't mean it's wrong. I would like to see something like that about Paul, but Paul is a much less important. I mean, he is an important figure, quote unquote, in Christianity. He, you know, according what we have, he was supposedly the guy who spread the faith, and that's important. But obviously, Jesus is a much bigger deal in Christianity. I mean, I would think if there wasn't a Jesus, I don't know what Christians would do. Hey, if you guys are enjoying the stream, you should drop a like. You probably don't, because it's kind of a boring stream, but you should drop a like if you like us anyways. A lot of argument over Paul for 100 years. Things de facto. It could be. It very well could be. So I call this stream "Behold the Face of God" as a reference to two things, actually. The first thing being our Atheist Sunday School show, where I shout "Behold" a lot, and the other thing being, so I'm currently reading this book, The Invention of God by Thomas Romer. It's good. I'm not going to say it's great because it's not great, but it is good. Fucking mosquitoes, god damn. Is that my blood? I think that's my blood. Yeah. That one's gonna leave a mark. Anyways, where was I? Right, so this book has a lot of good information in it, but I don't think he presents the arguments well enough. Like, I think he could just go more in depth and be more descriptive about his position. Like, he is making a case for Yahweh being a southern god, which is very possible that Yahweh came from the south. I still have my my hunches, I guess, my gut feelings that Yahweh came from Ugarit, because references date around the same time from both Ugarit and like Egypt and the Negev. So missed. Damn it. Yeah. God, mosquitoes are just terrible. Why do they even exist? They just shouldn't. They should just stop existing. That would be fantastic. Anyways, Romer. So he is making the case. He does give some credence to the idea that Yahweh was originally an Ugaritic god, which I appreciate, but he doesn't really delve into it as much. I want to look more into human migration patterns to see if that is even a plausible hypothesis, if it was originally Ugaritic. I mean, I know Yahweh he just kind of became a god of the entire ancient Near East in many different forms, worshipped in different ways. But there is this section in the book that I actually just finished reading, and it was really fascinating. It's about all the usage of the phrase the face. When they were talking about the face of Yahweh in the Psalms, for example, like in many of the Psalms, he makes the argument that it's in reference to an actual statue of Yahweh that was in a temple, which is a pretty cool idea. I think he actually demonstrates that point fairly well. I do, by the way, wish that he threw in more archaeological data. He throws in less of that than I would like, but he does, occasionally throw it in there. God, fucking mosquitoes. And he makes the argument that when they were talking about the face of God, it was in reference to an actual face of God. Yahweh is a wind god. Yahweh, he actually presents a good amount of evidence that he was more of a storm god that was also seen as a warrior god, because he was always depicted with like thunder and lightning, and with lightning you can't really draw thunder that well. So he was always dressed like a warrior. And I think this is still a hunch. This is why I have to look into this more. But I think that Yahweh became worshipped as the sole god of Israel, because he was a warrior god, and they were losing a lot of battles. They were getting taken over a lot. So I just think it would make sense for them to worship a war god. So that's just still a hunch, though. I have to look into this more. I have a bunch of books on this. I just got some stuff from Van Setters, John Van Setters. I'm really enjoying his work. I've read a couple of his papers, and I just absolutely love them. So I really recommend Van Setters to people. He actually presents a hypothesis on this stuff that's actually a lot closer to what I am convinced by. You know, Deuteronomy first, and then J and E. But I don't think he actually believes in an E or necessarily a J. He just kind of puts them together, I think, and then followed by a P, which I actually think is way more probable. I think it's called the supplementary hypothesis. I think. Don't quote me on that. But it's a lot of stuff that I have yet to look into. I'm very excited on getting into those books. But it's just Romer has a very interesting chapter in there about the face of Yahweh. And I just thought it would be cool to talk about it. But of course, not all the references to the face of Yahweh should be taken as that, because some of the Psalms were written much later when there was no more imagery. Like the word that they use in the Ten Commandments about idols is the same word that's used when discussing the face of God. So I just think it's probable. He presents a really good case for that. But I do recommend it for just people interested in the stuff. Not a perfect book, but I'm only like halfway through it anyways. I guess a little over half. But it's interesting. It's a good read. So I want to know how all you guys are doing. I've kind of said my piece, but, you know, I figured, why not do this? Here outside, we got we have a tent, or like an umbrella, kind of. And there are these little lights. There's actually a solar panel on top of it. So it just charges during the day, and then you can use it at night. Damn it. Nope. I think it was Dimitri Martin that pointed out there's a fine line between killing a mosquito and clapping for it. Just an interesting observation there. I got this one. No, I don't. Damn fucking mosquitoes. But hey, if you guys got book recommendations, I'm all glad to hear that stuff. Although I have a lot of books to get through, I also am just looking for more stuff on this. I really want, I'm delving really deep into this, deeper than I should, because I read one thing and, you know, they cite their sources and damn it. I'm just failing right now. They cite their sources and then I look at those and I'm like, wow, these look really interesting. I'm just failing right now. I'll stay out here for a little bit more. I'll probably go back inside. I've read parts of them, DB. Not the whole things. Just the parts that were relevant to things I was already talking about, but I really should read them all together. Yeah, you're right, Stewie. They have zeroed in on me. And I read that in Stewie Griffin's voice. Or Seth MacFarlane doing Stewie Griffin. Which sounds like a terrible sentence that I just said. They're like 3 just like around me right now. And I missed them all. Got one. That's 1 down. 2 down. I'm on a roll. Maybe that should be the thing. You know, we are currently working on the special, and I'm really excited to bring that to you guys, because if you're a patron, you would have seen all the stuff that we have set up for that. We have this big wheel that it's kind of like a Wheel of Fortune kind of thing going on. And we're going to spin it, and you're going to select a category, and then there's going to be a related question, and it's going to be the 100-point show on steroids, because you're going to play to 100 points, and we're going to have teams I'm going to try to get some guests on. And every time they get a point, they take a drink. So they're going to be really hammered, hopefully. And after that, we're all going to watch like really old cringy videos that I did in the past. Like they're really bad, like really terrible. And we're going to be watching some of those. Chris has some really old videos that are still up after damn near 10 years. So we're going to be watching those. And we're just going to cringe at ourselves. And then we're going to be doing like a t-shirt giveaway at the end. Ruben wants to give them away to the winning team. I want to give them away to the fans. That's what I want to do. I want to show my appreciation for you guys. And you know what's really interesting, Jim, is the first chapter of Romer's book is about the name of God and all the different usages and how it kind of changed over time. Because you're not allowed to say Yahweh in Jewish tradition, they would compress it, and then sometimes the compression, the annotated version of the tetragrammaton, I think it's called. That's just YHWH. That was sometimes used in names later. But of course, names like Daniel and Gabriel are all like something of L. So it's just a very interesting dive into the transformation from older gods into whatever we have now as a conception of Yahweh. But I'm still getting through that. It's a nice little read, though. You know what? That's probably true. They are probably whispering that. Fucking assholes. I was reading something I think it was last year now, that they were going to introduce some sort of gene into their pool that makes it that mostly males are born. So that would highly decrease the population. And I think that's great. I don't actually know what good mosquitoes do to the environment. Like bees, spiders, they do stuff. They do real stuff. But I just do not see what mosquitoes do. I just think they're evil little shits. But hey, if you guys like what we do, drop a like. Helps us out. And I was also really surprised to learn that the Elohim in the first verse of the Hebrew, like in Genesis 1:1, could be taken as a plural or as a singular. So it's just very interesting. Maybe they left it as intentionally obscure. Nope. Maybe they left it as intentionally obscure. Maybe it was just the faulted language. But it was just really interesting that it can also be interpreted as gods, plural. Because, I mean, there are plenty of allusions to other gods or a council of gods in the Psalms, especially the older ones, which would make perfect sense. I'm also working on some other projects. There was this dude in the comment section of one of the videos that was telling me that there was a 1st century manuscript of 2nd Peter. And I was like, what? I would have heard about that. Like, I've been delving deep into this shit. I would have at least heard about something like that. And then I asked one of my scholarly friends about it. And he basically led me through the whole history of that idea about this guy named like Jose O'Callaghan or something, and how in the 70s he said that he claimed that some of the Greek manuscripts found at Qumran in Cave 7 were in fact all from the New Testament. And it's based on so little. But so the Second Peter one specifically was, I just kind of look like a floating head right now. It's that dark outside. Great, fantastic. He basically took there was the one that he called Second Peter. It was 6 letters. That's it. 6 Greek letters spanning 2 lines. And he was like, this is Second Peter like 1:15 or something, which is ridiculous. You can't attribute a text on 6 letters. That is crazy. There's a good reason scholars don't accept that. Although I was reading something about it, and the only way you can really take that now and still be taken seriously, fucking mosquitoes, Jesus Christ. The only way you could accept that now, and the only like way you can kind of integrate that into a serious scholarly context now is by saying that if it's from the New Testament, it's from Second Peter, which is fine, but that's a big if. There's a huge difference. But most of his claims have been debunked. I kind of want to do a video on either Qumran in itself, or I want to do a video on supposed first century manuscripts. There was a recent mummy gospel that was originally claimed to be from the 1st century, but they dated it, and then it was from the 3rd century. Woo. There was also a purported 1st century mark that I forget who purported the idea. I think it was Daniel Wallace in a debate with Bart Ehrman. He just kind of like said it, and that caused the big stir. It wasn't published at the time, but that's been debunked as well. So I kind of want to go over supposed 1st century manuscripts of the New Testament, or just Qumran itself, because that's always interesting. I think Qumran is kind of cool. I am also currently working on a video. Oh shit! I don't know if you guys heard that, but it was like, I think it was just a regular cop car. Anyways, I'm working on a video on the Golden Calf narrative, and I'm basically making it about how the story was written, why it was written that way, the allusions it was making to things that were going on in their world. I mean, we found plenty of like bronze bull statues in that area dating to pretty early on, like the 8th and 9th centuries. And I think there's a good reflection there on what was happening in the area. Fuck, that thing flew up my fucking nose. So I want to really delve deep into just bull worship in general. So that's probably going to take me quite a bit of time, but I have a lot of good stuff on that actually. So I don't really have to buy extra books for it or anything. We got 13 watchers though. That's fantastic. Drop a like, guys. 13 of you. I should see 13 likes on this video. But yeah, Jim, you're absolutely right. There was a real tension there. There was a real argument on trying to, and the thing is, the texts really portray the view they want you to portray. So the Qumran texts, from what I understand them, from how I understand it, I guess, they span a big time period, but the latest the manuscripts date to is like 50 CE. That's the latest, although obviously they're much older. But yeah, I think the majority are definitely pre-1st century. I have not read the Samaritan Torah, but that's probably something I'm going to do in school. Oh, it's the source. I have books on this stuff, but I'm sure you can just find that on Wikipedia. Like the text I was reading was The Biblical Canon by Lee Martin Macdonald. He's a great writer, by the way. That's another good book, actually, The Biblical Canon. He basically it's like this 500-page book of how scripture was used, how canon was used, and kind of how scripture evolved into canon, which texts were used over time by who. That's another good book. Not much. What's happening with you? I'm getting eaten by mosquitoes. I'm doing this all for the fans. Now remember, that's just what the manuscripts date to. Some of them we don't even know what they are, especially the ones found in Cave 7, which are really fucking fragmentary. But I think that's on the basis of paleography, and I'm not sure if they actually did carbon dating on them or not. No idea. It's always not the best to do carbon dating on those things because you don't want to destroy the text. You don't want to really take anything away from it. But it is a thing you can do. I mean, if the text is obviously big enough and well preserved enough, you can do it because it's like, whatever. But usually it's on the basis of paleography. Oh, you're in Thailand. Wow. We don't have many watchers from outside the US and the UK. Well, I guess Canada too, but I usually don't do these night streams. I never know how well they're going to do. Yeah, I was reading about that, DB. It was very briefly mentioned in Martin Macdonald's book. He didn't really go much into it, but I do remember that word because I had so much trouble saying it. See, usually when we do these nighttime, or usually when I do any kind of stream, we end up losing subscribers, which is, expected. They subscribe for one reason, and then they come in and see that that is not, in fact, what they subscribe to. Or that's not what they really wanted to see. So we get unsubscribed a lot, but that's okay. Very excited for the special. We just got to record a few things. We're gonna do something about the Narcissistic Nihilist show. I don't know if we're gonna turn into a real show, but we're gonna make a little preview for it. It's gonna be pretty funny, I think. Chris is gonna be doing bad stand-up. He's gonna be playing off all some really famous comedians. And what's the deal with X, Y, and Z, or that's Seinfeld, and then Dangerfield. He's gonna be like, I get no respect around here. There's classic things. Just making fun of the whole. Got it. Fuck you. But I'm very excited for that stuff. We're still kind of writing the scripts. I'm smoking hookah. That's what I'm smoking. That is pretty much exclusively what I smoke. I mean, I'll have an occasional cigar when I'm feeling really, when I feel like just being a rich white guy with a brown dick in my mouth. Nope. These things are little shits. I don't know if it works, but I was told by someone that if a mosquito lands on you and starts biting you, just tense up wherever they're biting, and they get stuck and then they explode. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't tried it. They're fucking everywhere. Jesus. You know, if you guys know like an online bookstore that takes PayPal, let me know, because I am having some trouble with that. I think AbeBooks takes PayPal, but I can't find the stuff that I want right now on PayPal. Or it's not on PayPal, on AbeBooks. Like some of it's just out of stock. But I'm just really looking for bookstores that take PayPal. Yeah. No, I get that. But I think stereotypes can be kind of funny. Missed it? Really? It was right there. God damn it. Again, I missed it. So close. You're banned from PayPal and eBay. How'd you do that? That sounds like a fucking accomplishment. Does Amazon really? Because I can't use it on there. I think you have to like get like a PayPal debit card or something first. That's what I read. But I don't know if that has to be like physically delivered to you before you can use it or not. I have no idea. But I know they didn't used to, because I think they were owned by like some competing company. Fuck. They're fucking everywhere. Jesus. You bought a toy gun? What? Why is that a bannable offense? Yeah, I just don't have a mosquito net. All I have is this shitty umbrella. It's not really that shitty, actually. But it's not fantastic. It doesn't like physically go down. You can just kind of it just goes like inwards. Like a fucking like a regular umbrella. But even like normal umbrellas have like some of them you can lengthen them. But I guess it's like one of those umbrella toothpicks that they put in drinks. It's like that. It can fan, but it can't you can't change its length. I don't know if I'll be doing more stuff on the Arian controversy. I covered that semi-in-depth in the Nicaea video, and I covered that a little bit in the Trinity video. I don't really know if there's much more to go with it. I could like delve deep into the theology, but that stuff is almost incomprehensible. There's this really cool book, actually. It's called Christ and Christian Tradition, and it's in a few volumes. But in the first volume, I think it's by who fucking wrote it? It was by like some Jesuit priest. But it's basically just a book on the change in theology over time about Jesus, all the differing ideas. So I think it's pretty nifty, but some of it is just so weird. Some of it is it's just incomprehensible, some of that stuff, because it's theology. It's not really, I don't think it's meant to be understood. They want it to be understood, but you just can't. Some of that stuff is crazy. These things are just fucking everywhere. I wonder how many there actually are. Fucking got it. I tried looking it up, but I couldn't even find an estimate for how many mosquitoes there are. I'm not even making a dent. But you know what? I should buy a mosquito net. These things are fucking annoying. But yeah, billions, obviously. There's a lot. Thinking about Eusebius and Origin. What I really wanted to do a video on, now that you mentioned it, was Originism. It was like this, like Origin had some nifty ideas, but there was like a sect that diverged, or that Origin specifically, I guess, formed or whatever. I remember, I think I was reading, I never know how to pronounce his name, but the book is called Christianity, the First 3,000 Years. And it's like, got it. And it's like 1,200 pages. It's huge. And it's just this, I guess it is a brief history of Christianity, because 3,000 years is a long time. He was going from ancient Israelite religion to modern day Christianity. And it kind of bounces around because it's hard to weave that into a single story. Thank you, Kiwi Kid. If we had if I had Streamlabs on my computer, you'd see like a little thing pop up with your name. But thank you for subscribing. Yeah, absolutely, DB. There were so many, and some of them are so cool, and I want to go over so many of them. Let's see how we're doing here. We're doing decent. Yes, he is the author. I'm never sure how to pronounce his name because it sounds like Diremaid, but there's no way somebody could actually be named Diremaid. Like, that just sounds too badass for anything. Shit. Thing came right in my fucking ear. Came in my ear. But yeah, they make way more sense than the modern ones. At least quite a few of them. I went over. I have a video on Marcion of Sinope and the Marcionites, and I really like the Marcionites. I really fucking love them. I think it was fantastic. Yeah, Kiwi Kid. I get that. History of the Bible. I'll check that out. You know what I found that was just really catered to me? I didn't actually listen to it, but it sounded really cool. It was called like the Bible Pirates or something like that. And it just sounded like something I would love. Missed it. I just saw like a little ad for it on Facebook, but it looked pretty nifty. Now, I don't know if they actually go over just the Bible or pirates and the Bible, but if they go over pirates and the Bible, that'd be fantastic. It's like they specifically catered it towards me. Why didn't Noah take 2 mosquitoes on the ark? I guess just to piss off all the heretics in the future. I don't think Moses could pull off an eye patch and a hook. That stuff was the eye patches is a true thing, but it was only like very few people who would wear eye patches because you didn't really need that many people going down into the hull on a regular basis, at least. But the hook hand thing, that was very uncommon. Like same with peg legs. Like if you lost like a limb in battle, that's what they would give you. But it was pretty rare. Many ships had like reimbursement for losing limbs. Like the way they would do it is if you lost a limb during like a raid, you would like whatever you made from that, whatever the ship made, they would first give a certain amount to the people who lost limbs, depending on what they lost, and then they would spread out the rest of the earnings fairly evenly. Like the captain got 2 shares to the crewmates 1, and the first mate got like 1.5 shares to the crewmates 1. But the interesting thing is, like, naval vessels, they would do like 16 to 1, where the captain would get 16 shares to every crewmate's 1. And that was crazy. So pirates did that a lot better. Now, whether or not they actually held like egalitarian views like that, or if it was just for just to make people not hate being a pirate, it did have a lot of economic value. There's this cool book called The Invisible Hook, and it's about the economics of piracy. And I thought it was really cool. Like, I really just got it for the name, because I was like, this is such a great name. The Invisible Hook. I mean, come on. Shit. It's right fucking there. Got it. I can suck my fucking dick. I agree, Katie. Yeah, they're all of them are fucking annoying. Yeah, why did he create mosquitoes? What a bad move. Damn it. Yeah, the mosquitoes bred the vampires. That's how that happened. I believe it. I also really want to know what kind of stuff you guys want to see. Like, we really want to make it really worthwhile for people to stick around. I had something and then I forgot. Also, with Patreon perks, we're still trying to figure out good perks. I think our perks right now are actually pretty good. I mean, $1 you get behind the scenes stuff, and you get all the scripts from Milwaukee Atheist. That's pretty fucking cool, I think. That's a lot of information for $1. It is like right near my dick. That is not cool. Got it. I got this. I got this one. Yeah, I got it. Got it. Ah, man, I'm so good at this right now. I don't know if that would be a good show. Just killing a bunch of fucking mosquitoes. I don't think it would be. I think it'd be amusing for like the first minute, and then it just gets bad. Yeah, and thank you, DB. We really appreciate the help. We really do. Like, any donation is so fucking fantastic. Like, when I first started this, I was like, there's no way people are going to pay me for this shit. But then eventually, kind of worked out. People help out, and it's always fantastic. You got to be part of a family. A really weird, shitty family. Me, Ruben, and Chris. Let me fucking... That sucks already. Looks like the neighbors are just getting home. I'm trying to think of really good books right now. I have a bunch of them on my bookshelf, but I haven't... I've yet to read quite a bit of them. Like, I just got them because I'm researching for the book I'm writing, but I have to get through them before I can continue writing, because it's going to be a really big dive into into a lot of stuff. It's hard to format something like this because it's so much history. I'm going over basically 1,500 years of history, and I want to be in depth and concise. And trying to find that medium is difficult. The way I write, it's kind of like I'm just talking, so I think it'll be understood fairly easily. But that still requires a lot of research, a lot of information I have to take in. I'm probably gonna have to reread a lot of stuff too. I have read one of Campbell's books. I forget which one it is. I have it on my computer. Let me see if I can pull that up. But I've read one. Masks of God. The Masks of God. Primitive Mythology. That is what I have read. That's the title. If you're looking for older publications, sometimes you can find them on the Gutenberg Project. That's cool. They're all free. That's awesome. I'll have to check that out. What I find is actually really cool is there's the site Forgotten Books, and they just republish old books, and it's really cool. Like some of the stuff you find there, there's this one book on pirates that was written in like 1820 or 1815, somewhere around there. And it was the first book written about the Chinese pirates, like Cheng Shi. And it's the translation was from like 1840 or 1850 or something. So in English, also hard to read. But it's just really cool that they're doing reprints of like these really old books. Stupid ass mosquitoes. And you know what I find kind of frustrating actually is whenever I'm reading any books, the books I read are usually about the Bible, and they go over so much stuff, and they quote so many verses that I can't remember the stuff or the particular verse. So when we cover it in Atheist Sunday School, I have forgotten the specific verse, and it's always just a bummer. I'm gonna try to get some stuff to talk about for the next one, like Deuteronomy 32 or 31, because Romer uses those chapters quite often. So hopefully I'll remember to write some stuff down for this week. Got it. I've read Enoch. I think it was it was written in multiple parts. And I think it dates back to primarily the 2nd century BCE. I haven't read Jubilees, or what is that, Jasher? I haven't read that either. But these are all things that I will be reading. I have a lot of cool stuff on Enoch, actually. There's this book called The Historical Jesus in Context. And although it's not even really about the historical Jesus, it's kind of about the environment that was around at the time, and they go over a lot of stuff, like other prophets of deliverance that were going around at the time, claiming to, be the Messiah. It's just like a compilation of like 25 papers, but it's really good, actually. I suggest that for people who like those kinds of books. There's another one that I've been meaning to get to. It's called "Is This Not the Carpenter?" and it's a collection of papers from mythicists and historicists, and it kind of brings the debate into the fold. So it kind of argues both sides. Really interesting. I'm really glad that I forget who like the primary editor was, but I'm really glad that they're doing something like that. Flavian conspiracy. Ooh, I don't know how I feel about that. I'll check it out. Also been thinking about doing a video on the Tacitus reference to Jesus, but that comes like way later, so I don't even think it should mean much. What am I getting, a phone call? I am getting a phone call. It's from Ruben. Hey, Ruben. Yeah, I am streaming on YouTube. Hold on, let me put you on speaker. Yeah, what's up, Ruben?
Oh, how's that stream going?
I think the stream is going off fairly well.
Oh, well, that's great. Well, I was just calling to see, have you done a video on the cosmological argument?
No, I haven't, actually.
Oh, well, I was in the middle of going through script ideas, and I was thinking of doing something on the cosmological argument.
Okay. All right, cosmological argument. You know, I actually have a chapter about the cosmological argument in my book.
Oh, the unicorn book?
Yeah, the unicorn book.
Wow, I can definitely reference your unicorn book.
Yeah, you can. It's going to be a primary source.
Well, you know, in academic circles, the fact that you get one reference at least makes you more credible than the majority of papers out there.
Yeah, it does. And for all of those, for everyone who wants to read that book, $5 patrons get a copy of any book that we publish, including the one that I already published.
Yes. Why unicorns exist.
No, that's not what it's called. It's called According to Your Evidence, Unicorns Exist. You piece of shit.
Oh, well, I think you should write a sequel as to why unicorns exist.
You know what? I could do that. I could construct a huge argument on why unicorns exist. I could do that.
I think it would be hilarious. A true work of absurdist literature.
Yeah, I could do that. Where are you at?
I'm chilling at my place. I just drank like a 6-pack of summer shandies, so ooh.
All right. Summer shandies? All right, whatever.
Yeah, well, on top of other things.
Okay.
Well, you know how it is. By the way, you left all that rum at the studio.
Yeah, I did. I did leave all the rum there.
Anyways, I should have this script on the cosmological argument finished up by later tonight. So we should probably meet up and go over it.
How we act in general. All right, what are people saying? Why does the coat of arms of games show a unicorn horse? I have no idea. I've never even seen that. I'd be interested in watching that video, Jim, because I'd like to see the actual evidence for that. Because I mean, I've read a good amount of stuff on this, and from what it looks like, no, missed. From what it looks like, the Testimonium Flavianum was a later edition. So I don't know how accurate that would be, but I'll definitely take a look at it. Although if you haven't seen it yet, my video Josephus on Jesus, I think I go fairly in depth into it. The Golden Jew. Let's see how we're doing. Oh, we're doing all right. Okay. Yeah, that's fair, DB. I get that. Like, there are plenty of books that I disagree with the conclusion, but I still got a lot from the rest of it. I have done some research on Egyptian stuff. I actually have a video on Egyptian mythology. It's part of the Mythstory series. A lot of people thought it was Myth Story, which would be redundant, but it's supposed to be Myth History, Mythstory. Some people didn't get that. Would never have survived without imperial consent. I don't think so. I mean, the way canon formed over time doesn't necessitate imperial consent. We would still have some of the manuscripts, but you can go over my Nicaea video. I kind of go into that a bit. But later, I think it was Theodosius who made it the state religion, and that was like late in the 4th century. Got it. Got it. Fuck yeah. Yeah, why is the rum gone? Yeah, the rum's gone because I left it at Chris's. They allowed no prohibited books. I mean, I'll have to look into that more. I mean, I know about the Decian persecutions and stuff, but that wasn't until later. We would still have maybe we would still have a lot of the stuff that we do have, like manuscripts and references and other writings, I think. But it's there are a lot of books that kind of delve into this sort of topic about the history of it, especially the biblical canon. That one is actually really good. Lee Martin Macdonald. Got to shout that one out again. Missed it. But yeah, DB's right about that. Around 400. End of the 4th century. Nope. Yeah, you know what's really interesting about that, Kiwi Kid? There was one Christian in the comments that was he had said that he previously would use Josephus as evidence for Jesus, and then he watched my video, and then he no longer uses Josephus, which I think is really cool. Although obviously he still accepts the historical Jesus, but that wasn't even the point of the video. The video was specifically to point out that you shouldn't be using Josephus because it's unreliable. We can demonstrate that the Testimonium Flavianum is a forgery, I think, completely. We can demonstrate it. And the later reference is an interpolation. I think we can demonstrate that. But I just thought it was really cool. But a lot of people assumed that the video was about the historicity of Jesus when in fact it was not. I made that very clear after people were assuming that's what it was about. Got it. And I think DB, I think Aaron uses it as well, actually. That same kind of thought process. I think it was more organic. I think because of apocalyptic Judaism, you're kind of bound to get this sort of messianic stuff. But I'm kind of working my way through the history chronologically. I have a book by, I think it was J.J. Collins. It's called The Apocalyptic Imagination. And from what I was told from scholarly friends who recommended it, it's like a key text about that. And I'm very excited to get to... There's this book called Life After Death. It was written by Alan Siegel. And it's basically just about, a history of hell in the Western world. And he kind of goes into Jewish apocalypticism and the view of the afterlife according to apocalypticists. Although I only read like the first 2 chapters of that book, so I didn't get to that part. But while flipping through it, I noticed that, and I was like, this is really cool. Can't wait to get to this one. I don't know if you guys can hear the train in the background, but I live right by the tracks. Just like 2 blocks away. See, I don't know if I would say completely undermined Judaism, because if we look, like, for example, I think it's really weird because Matthew's gospel, for example, it could be argued that it is the most Jewish because it suggests that, you should keep the Sabbath and Jewish traditions and stuff like that. But at the same time, because it asserts that there were so many prophecies that were fulfilled by this Jesus character, that it could also be viewed as the most anti-Jewish, which I think is a really interesting, duality. Reincarnation. All right. I mean, I'm sure Ruben would be really interested in that. He really likes the Eastern stuff. I don't know. How do you guys like these nighttime streams? Maybe if I did them like in better lighting, like inside. It's not? Reincarnation isn't Eastern? I thought it was. Although, obviously, could be wrong. Not that stuff? Okay. All right, I'll look into it. I'm a night person too. But I never know if people are going to tune in for the night stuff. Hello, antisocial socialist. How are you? Good to see you. I'm glad to see we got watchers, though. It seems that we've been getting a lot more viewers during Atheist Sunday School, but I'm not sure if that's because of how we were running things for the past 2 weeks. Because this last week we had Godless on, and he shared the stream. But the week before that, we were still getting the influx of people from the Nicaea video. So I don't know if that's going to keep up. But I hope it continues to do well. We had like at least 30 watchers for both of those streams. And that's really good for us, actually. If you haven't dropped a like, you should do it now. It really helps us out. The more engagement, the better. We show up more in like suggested feeds and stuff. Although I don't know if you guys recall, but we would usually have, our Sunday stream, and then we'd post something on Thursday. And it was always on Thursday because for a time, YouTube appreciated consistency. So if you would have a consistent upload schedule, the algorithms would favor you. But then there was this one day that we forgot to post something, and our views just went way down. Like they plummeted, which was kind of a bummer. But that was when YouTube was appreciating consistency. And now it seems that they've changed the algorithm. So we're kind of trying out some new stuff. But I want to bring more stuff to you guys. I want you guys to really like it too. Fucking hell. Damn it. You know, I think I'm getting most of them. They're showing up less and less. You know, 11 watchers. I should see 11 likes on this video. Damn it. So close. Yet so very far. You know, that might be it. I was always curious about them. Like if they... like how they act around... I don't know if they like release a scent or something when they die. I have no idea. I haven't really looked into the biology of mosquitoes. But I know some species do that. Yeah, Jim, I'm not really convinced that it was like some grand thing. I think it was... I really do think it was organic. I don't know if you've read On the Historicity of Jesus by Carrier, but it's really good. There's also this this paper in Is This Not the Carpenter by... I think his name is Kurt Knoll, I think. Not our local astronomer friend. But I think that Kurt Knoll pretty much wrote a paper demonstrating that it doesn't even matter if there was a Jesus or not, it would have evolved the exact same way. That's his argument. Yeah, antisocial. That's always fucked up. Like, you know, my response to people, I don't know why I just thought of this, but my response to people saying like, I'll pray for you, my only response is, and I'll think for you. I saw that on a meme somewhere and I was like, this is great, I'm going to do it. I agree that there was no contemporary references. I absolutely agree with that. But that does not necessitate like grand conspiracy. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed OHJ. It's really fantastic. And the thing I love about it is how it's great for scholars and the layperson. I think it's just really fantastic. It was like my introduction to this whole thing. Just a great book. Although I am kind of running my computer on battery right now. So I might have to go pretty soon, but you have plans yet for your... Yes. We have to record a few things that we're going to show off during the special. But other than that, we have the game show set up. We're still trying to find guests. I think Godless Engineer is going to be a guest. I'm trying to get Aaron and Richard and Fitzgerald. But we got to get those videos done first because those guys run on tight schedules. So I want to have a date set for that. We might just have like some people in house because since we've never had a stream quite like that, it's going to be a lot of new stuff. Might be easier to do that. 13 watchers. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. And I also appreciate the like that you're going to leave. Oh, yeah. That one's fantastic by Non-Stamp Collector. Classic. He doesn't really upload much anymore because he's got like a real job and stuff. Real family. But he does some great stuff. Like really fantastic. Especially for like when he initially started, like back in the early days of YouTube. I remember those days. He was uploading pretty consistently, and it was always great seeing something from him. He makes some really good stuff. And it's really weird because so YouTube, if you were on YouTube for like the early days, you could just go onto your channel and just click like record and record a video there, and it was great. It was very convenient, but they kind of stopped doing that. I also liked they kind of brought that back with this, because it used to be that streaming could only be from like Google Hangouts or OBS or something. But this is nice. I like how they're kind of bringing it back with you can just go live right now. You don't have to set up a Google Hangout or change your live stream settings, because it's always annoying to completely change the stuff, because we have all the stream information from every atheist Sunday school, and I don't want to have to like retype everything, like all like the description and the title and stuff. It's just always annoying. So I'm glad they have like this thing where you don't have to change those settings. I also really enjoyed in the early days of YouTube when you could leave like responses directly to videos. That was fantastic. Thoughts on Apocrypha? I love Apocrypha. I love the stuff that was left out. Like, for the most part, it's like way more interesting than the stuff we get now. Like, not to say that there are no interesting books in the Bible. There are. Nope. But the apocryphal stuff is really fantastic. I especially like, I mean, the Acts of Paul and Thecla is really nifty. And I'm just blanking on some of this stuff right now. There's this the gospel, not the gospel of Peter. The apocalypse of Peter is probably my favorite. It is Peter, or Jesus takes Peter on a journey through heaven and hell. The heaven stuff is pretty boring, but the hell part is really cool. Like, it goes really in detail about the punishments in hell, and it's a lot. That stuff is where Dante got his ideas from. You know, liars hung by their tongues and shit like that. Adulterers, men are hung by their dicks, and women, I think, are either hung by their hair or like hung by their feet and then their head into a lake of fire. I think it's one of those. But it's really, really vivid imagery, really fascinating. That's definitely my favorite one. I don't know if you guys follow Deep Fat Fried or like Heideology or anything, but on Heideology, it's like, you know, the Amazing Atheist TJ, and they have Paul, and those are usually the only two guys that stream on those. But it's always like these kinds of like hanging out with the fans kind of thing, and I like that. I just didn't know if it would be right for the channel, but I'm glad to see that you guys are enjoying it. Let's check some analytics. Doing all right. So this Friday, you're going to get a Forged Fiction video on Jude, because it's going to take way more time and research to do a video on the Johannine epistles. But I want to bring you guys something. I want to have some stuff like backlog too. Like, I want to have too much content, so then I have a posting schedule, and then I can continue working on other stuff. But it's hard to keep that up. It really is. Because since you're set for a while, you feel like you have less deadlines. So you just kind of get lazy. I'm trying to stop that. Yeah, DP. I really wish they would have kept some of that cool stuff. Got it. I'm glad you guys enjoy the Forged Fiction series. I really like it. I want to get through the New Testament. I don't know if I should also apply it to Old Testament stuff. Maybe I will later. But that's so much bigger, so much more in depth, and it's really difficult. Like, we have a lot clearer, I should say, scholarship on the New Testament than we do on the Old Testament. The Old Testament's always kind of shady when you're looking into it. I mean, so is the New Testament, but in different ways. It's murky. The Old Testament's kind of murky. Yeah, Paul, scam situation. The most useful part. That's an interesting question. The most useful part? I don't know if it's necessarily useful, but I think the Bible altogether. Oh, you mean that Paul, right? Whoops. Thought we were talking about Paul's ego. I think studying the Bible is actually a good thing for atheists to do, because the philosophy that I kind of run the channel on is the more you know about the Bible, the more you know that it's not true. So I think there's a lot of value in studying it. And you also learn some interesting stuff about history. I mean, it's interesting to me. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I like it. I decided to finally go back to school for religious studies. I was originally, actually, if you don't know this, I was in school for a semester when I was 18, like right out of high school, and I was going for astrophysics. But after the first semester, I was like, I really don't want to do math for the rest of my life. So I decided not to do that. So I left. But I'm going back now. So hopefully I stick with it, Exactly. Art of War. That's exactly it. Very useful advice for not just actual war, but intellectual war also. If you had to extract just a single ethical principle, which would you live by? That is tough. Apart from the obvious ones, like don't kill, right? I mean, Matt Dillahunty did this really good breakdown of the Sermon on the Mount. But he also pointed out that there were bad things in there too. Like, do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. I think the proper way to do it is do unto others as they would have done to them within reason. But I think there's, some value there. Like, obviously it's not all bad. And I think, for what is it, 1 Peter 3:15, always have a defense for your faith. I think, even though I don't have a faith, I think defending what you believe is a good concept, if I can extrapolate it that far. Yeah, I also used to be. I mean, I still really love physics and astronomy. I still really love that stuff. That's what kind of initially made me an atheist in general. But I think that when it comes to actually changing minds, I think understanding the book of the minds you're trying to change would actually be more useful. Although obviously physics and all of science has a place in that discussion. I think it's fantastic. Love physics. Hello, frustrated atheist. Yeah, I think there's also a really funny one in Luke, I think, where you have to hate your your father and your mother, your brothers and sisters before you can follow Christ. There was like some bad apologetics that should be interpreted as, you know, love Jesus so much that in comparison you hate all these other things. But the verses he was referencing were written at a time and in an environment where they actually did mean hate. So bad apologetics. I mean, I get those too quite a while. Yeah. All right. My computer's running on pretty low battery, so I should probably get out of here. But yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So I should probably get back heading in. But I'm glad that you guys showed up, especially for so long. 14 viewers. Let's get in 2 more likes. If you haven't liked the video, like it now. Really helps us out. But I should probably get out of here soon. So if you haven't checked it out already, there's a link in the description to our Patreon. We have lots of good perks, I think. You can get books, you can get t-shirts, you can even be on a Atheist Sunday School stream. I think it's pretty cool. So definitely consider checking out the Patreon. The website, MilwaukeeAtheist.com. It's kind of like an archive for our stuff right now. There's also this cool journal that we're partnering up with, Sherm Journal. It's going to be, it's basically just a history journal, but it's going to be free. It's going to be free, open to absolutely everybody. So I support that. It's I think it's really cool. So the link is on our website, Sherm Journal. Really fantastic. Their first issue is coming out next year, but I've been suggesting it to everybody. One of my friends is working on it, so it's really fantastic. Other than that, I got nothing. Facebook, Twitter, Milwaukee Atheists or MK Atheists on Twitter. Sometimes I post stuff. It's really weird though, because I post stuff on Twitter, and the only stuff that seems to get likes are when I like a video and it goes out to Twitter. So I don't know. Be cool to get engagement on the social media end, but whatever. You do you. So, yeah, that's the end of the stream for today. Thank you guys so much for showing up and liking the video. That's fantastic. But I will definitely see you guys later, and stay tuned for the Forged Fiction video on Jude on Friday. All right, have a good one.